Okay. Wow. Here we are. Look at you. Look at us. It's a pleasure. Pleasure. It's the end of 2020, and this is number 40. It's interesting that the year 2020, you take 20 and another 20, you get 40. And so we are at number 40, and I wrote, there's a reason we saved the best for last. And my name is Uri Schneider. I lead at Schneider Speech. I'm excited to share two things with everybody, and then we'll jump in with Lovejoy, which is going to be a super big treat. But I was able, over the past 24 hours, to take most of the conversations this past year and put them into podcast form. So wherever you consume podcasts, you can now look up Transcending Stuttering. And I think of this as a journey. For me, it's like research and development. It's like the best learning I could possibly do is talking to people like Lovejoy and all the people that I've had the chance to talk to. Because as my father says, and John Clausing, who we spoke to earlier this year, we might be the professionals. That doesn't mean we're the boss. And we have a lot to learn from each other. So in the work that we do, these conversations have enriched me and they've enriched our team. And I've heard from people around the world, students of speech language pathology who want to be wholesome, helpful, human helpers for people who stutter. I've heard from people who stutter who feel that this has become a wonderful way to listen to conversations, meet people, get insights, and it's truly humbling and brings me to tears. So with that introduction, I just invite you, if you want to help, first of all, enjoy the conversations in the podcast. You can also see them on our website. If there are any missing, they will be uploaded. We'll get all 40 up there, but most of them are up. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to consume podcasts. If you would follow or subscribe or whatever you can do or share, it'll help the channel or the station, get some more exposure and get more people to hear these conversations. Ultimately, what we're all about is transcending stuttering. It's not just the name of a movie. It's about taking something that is so significant for so many people, is so misunderstood by so many people, and talking about it and touching it and relating to it. And as we do that, number one, it stops to dominate over us. We start to get our life back. And number two, and what's magical and hard to hear sometimes earlier, and it's almost paradoxical or nonsensical, we actually can grow through it. And so I'm not a person who stutters, but I grow through people like Lovejoy and through the other people I get to work with. And the people that I get to work with don't usually say that on day one. They don't usually say it on day two, but over time, you hear people say that stuttering was a gift. Or my friend Mo Murnick wrote a book, The Gift of Stuttering, or people like Alan Rabinowitz will say, stuttering is a gift. It took me a long time to believe it, but it taught me many things. It's a great teacher. It's a harsh teacher sometimes, but it can be a great teacher. So that's what Transcending Stuttering is all about. That's what this is all about. And I just want to thank everybody. If you weren't here listening to these conversations, it wouldn't be worth talking to a wall. But thankfully, each of these conversations has reached 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people. And we look to just keep spreading these conversations so more people can benefit and grow. And if you're a professional, just one pitch, or you're a person who stutters and you want more information, we have now a free email you can sign up for. It's at schneiderspeech.com/TSA. We'll put it in the links and comments below. And you can sign up for the free emails. You'll also get an invitation. We have cohorts kicking off in January, and we'll run those throughout the year, but not more till the spring. So if you want to get in on the January start 2021, fresh start in a group led by professionals with a peer of people just like you. We have a professional group that I'll be leading, training speech language pathologists to do this work and transcend stuttering. We have a group for adults, and we have a group for teens. It's meant to be affordable, robust, and a real springboard accelerator for people to take some steps forward. Again, schneiderspeech.com/TSA, and I'm done. Lovejoy, the floor is yours. What would you like people to know about you?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Uri. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to be here. As you were speaking, tears were literally coming out of my eyes. I appreciate all the great work that you guys do, the great work that your team do. You guys are changing lives and stuff. I was just thinking, how we ended up connecting again here. But the last time that we worked together, I had to go through my calendars. It was like 7 years ago, so I couldn't believe that it has been so long ago. But you know what, the lessons and the things that we shared, they mean so much to me that I still carry them with me to today. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah. So just about me,
it goes both ways.
Thank you.
And
great.
Lovejoy reached out. I wrote back, and he said, I don't know if you remember me. And Lovejoy, that's chutzpah to say, I don't know if you remember me, because chutzpah is like, I was insulted by that comment, because how could I not remember you? And then I shared with you several things that you realized I sure did remember just as much as you did, as if it was yesterday. Those meetings with you, and with so many of the people that we meet. And I mean that so deeply and sincerely. And Lovejoy could tell you, it's 7 years on, and there were many specific points that I remember that they truly inspire me. They are things I have shared again with others to help them listen to true, real life heroes like yourself, and ways people do incredible things I don't know if I would be able to do. So that's why I am enriched and inspired, and share and remember and pay attention to the things that we do together. So it goes both ways, buddy.
That is great. I didn't mean to insult you or anything, but the fact that you guys meet so many people. I mean, you work with so many people, and just years have gone by. So I was really amazed.
Each person has a name. Each person has a voice, and each person has something to do in this world. And we try to keep it that way.
Great. Yeah. So just a little bit about me. So I'm actually originally from Zimbabwe. I was born and raised there. I migrated to the U.S. It's been some time. I've been in the U.S. for like 20 years now. So I came here. I was very young, as a little boy. I came to college and stuff, and growing up, stuttering was like a major thing, because we didn't really talk much about it. So coming here was a life changer. I had so many challenges and stuff, because just the cultures. If you think about the cultures, like an African culture and the U.S. culture, in Africa, things are kind of laid back and stuff, and talking is not really emphasized on. So one may actually graduate the whole of high school without having to do things like presentation in schools. Whereas here, like if you follow the academic route, you are expected to present, just to be out there. So it was really big difference for me, so as a person who stutters, I struggled with that.
I'm with you. What do you think was unique from someone, let's say if you grew up or your kids are growing up in the States, in Virginia, what was something unique? Because I enjoyed our conversation, and I've worked with leading physicians at NIH, and I'm just trying to break the concept of people coming from Africa and kind of stereotypes and stories that people have. But I get to meet people like you you taught me so much about sound engineering and those glass walls on the sides of the highway that protect the neighborhoods. I mean, you're a sophisticated guy. I'm thinking of another person who's this doctor researcher at NIH. I'm thinking of another person, a woman who's a colleague of mine, and some extraordinary people. And coming from either first generation or second generation immigrants to this country, dealing with stigma and dealing with judgment and prejudice and unfair shake. But I'm interested just in hearing like the cultural side of it. So growing up in Zimbabwe and what do you think was unique to that experience, different than maybe what your kids would grow up with here in the States with regards to stuttering?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. The main thing is just talking about it. Like I grew up, obviously I did have a stutter. Everybody I talked to knew that something was up, because I could not talk. But at the same time, it wasn't talked about, like how are you doing in school? How are you handling it? So I kind of grew up ashamed of it. And then the other thing too, because people don't talk about it, they don't know much about it, there's this stigma about it, so in terms of professional lives and careers and stuff, one is limited when it comes to things that they can do or the contributions they can make to society, A good example. So I had an uncle. I really looked up to him. He was a person who started as well, but I heard stories that he wanted to be a school teacher. And guess what? They say that he couldn't be a school teacher. Why? Because of that one thing. He had a stutter. So in a way, people with I don't know if I can call stuttering a disability. That's a whole another topic right there. But people are discriminated, and you end up being kind of like put in a corner when it comes to things that you can do. Grow, once you grow up. So in terms of thinking of a career, so I am an academic person. I spent a whole lot of years in school and stuff, but I really had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do when I grow up. Because I really put my entire value on my stutter, so I used to think that my stutter really defines me, or like I couldn't do some things because of my stutter. So yeah, so your question is about comparing things in Africa and then here in the US. The big difference with the US, we have right now we have a president-elect who stutters. In Africa that's like unheard of. How can you be a president who stutters? And that's just one example. Being here in the US, I've met and interacted with many professionals, so many of them. Some are doctors, some are lawyers, people in their fields, and they're respected people, and so the main difference, between my growing up and here in the US is that, there are no limits as to what one can do. You are not defined by your stutter, and people actually talk about it.
I think that's a big thing that a lot of Americans don't realize. The openness in a lot of countries and parts of the world, the idea of talking about something that's different and it just being a difference, it just is what it is, and not being a showstopper. In many countries and communities and cultures, that's still the case, right?
That's right. Yeah. unfortunately.
Not yet there, but just those two words, not yet. And that's one of the things I remember you telling me when we met, was one of your dreams, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it is still a dream of mine. I consider myself a changer. We are all here to make a difference. We are here to work with each other and to influence each other and to make a difference. So I have some goals. One of my goals is to leave this world a better place than I found it. I know it's a huge goal. But it's one person at a time. So it could be that
Well, is it really such a big goal? Just turn down the volume. I'm getting the echo. But I just want to say that you have the opportunity, Lovejoy, to make so much impact, and you already have. You got your wife, you got your kids, you got Carl Coffey, who told me that you gave him a little boost at the earlier stage in his journey. So you're already changing the world and leaving it a better place than when you got here. So I wouldn't say that's too ambitious. I would say it's important we recognize the impact each of us already have had and how doable it is. So you do that today by paying it forward through being part of a group, a support group with the NSA, National Stuttering Association. But I just want to say you're a changer already. It's not something you're waiting to manifest. But you wanted to do something ambitious overseas. You wanted to affect change not just in Virginia, but back in Zimbabwe.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's my goal. Because Africa, unfortunately, some of these countries and stuff, they're facing like so many challenges and stuff. So it might just not be, the subject of stuttering or disability, but things that we take for granted here in the U.S. For example, like running water. If you're communicating with someone here in the U.S. and you tell them, there are places they don't have water or they don't have electricity. Someone here in the U.S. will have a hard time believing you, but it's a reality in Africa. Some people have to walk so many distances just to find water. So it's just small things like that. Yeah, it is my hope, that one day, I will be able to use all the experiences and the knowledge that I have gained here in the U.S. Back in Zimbabwe or just Africa, Africa at large.
And I've been working on I got that feedback again. Is it too loud on your side? I've been working on my Zimbabwe accent so that I could partner with you. I could give it a whirl if you want.
Sure, let me hear what you got.
Yeah, hold on. To the people of Zimbabwe, my name is Uri Schneider, and the people of America, we think about stuttering in a different way. And what we can do, we can help you. And you can live with more freedom. Freedom to say what you want to say. How's that?
Oh, that's pretty good, man. That is awesome.
You'll continue to help me polish. But
Yeah.
but we can do this. We can really, especially 2020 shows us, whether it's traveling and you can't travel, okay, you can connect with people and we can, do virtual support meetings and things like that. So you already have reach in Africa. I don't know if you had somewhere you wanted to go next, but I would love if you wanted to just reflect on where you were at, until that point that we had that chance to connect 7 years ago. What things were like for you, what things you were holding back, what things you were wishing, hoping, dreaming of, and felt like they were out of reach. And then we could talk about some of those memorable encounters that we had and where things went from there.
Yeah. So back then, when we met, stuttering was like up here, if I was to rank it, things of importance or things that I put up front in my life, it was like up there. So I was just thinking about it. Like you called me the other day, and it's like, let's have. I want you to be part of this Facebook conversation. So if he was back then, what would have happened? I probably would have come up with a reason. No, I can't do it. Or if I had said yes, I can do it. I would have spent like endless hours just thinking about it or just being afraid of it, instead of like looking forward to the conversation. I would be fearing the conversation instead of actually preparing for what I want to talk about. Fear would have just taken over, so much, such that once the event happens, my I don't know if I can use the word performance, or my presence wouldn't be there. Yeah, so that's where I was. I was very afraid. I let fear pretty much run me. Like stuttering was dictating what I should and what I shouldn't do. So where I am right now, yes, I am a person who stutters, but I have so many hats. That's like one thing that I really took from you, during the discussions that we have. There's so many other things um, that describe me. Like right now, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm employed somewhere. I volunteer at church. I do so many things. So stuttering didn't go away. It's still there. But it's not like the main thing. It's not like the main thing in my life, and it does not control me. It doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do.
I remember the minivan story, and I told people there was going to be a good story about saving a lot of money, because when we met, getting help, and I wrote a little bit about this in an email I sent out. There are a lot of reasons we hold back from getting help in anything, whether it's professional development, personal, mental wellness, fitness, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our marriage, whether it's getting a talk therapist, or whether it's thinking about what can I do. My stuttering is holding me back. It's like you said, it's making decisions for me. It's too influential in my decision making. I want to be better than that. I can be better than that. But people hold back for a lot of reasons, and one reason is money. So when we started, I know that was certainly one of the considerations, and it always is. Is this going to be worth it? Because it's an investment. And I remember the minivan story was that tipping point. So could you just share what was the story of the minivan, like, why that was significant?
Yeah, so we were just out in the market looking for a vehicle. Our family was growing, so we needed a bigger car. So how it is with salesmen and stuff. You go buy a car, you're going to encounter a salesperson, and they're basically going to try to sell you something, and it's pretty much on their terms. So the the power of technology, or the power of the era that we are in, there's the internet and all that stuff. So you can research when you want to buy a car, you can research and find out the cost and all that stuff. So the consumer or the buyer has the power. So long story short, I ended up negotiating that van to a price that I wanted. So I consider myself pretty good at that, actually. I just don't take things face value. I stand up for myself. So in terms of money, yeah, we were able to save like several thousands of dollars on that transaction. So maybe if I had tried to buy that van, like several years back, when I had like bad attitudes about my stutter, I would have just gone along with whatever that salesperson was saying. The other thing I just want to add, you were mentioning about cost, for therapy and things like that. What I would say, people confuse cost and value. They're totally two different things. Yeah, you may not have the money to pay for that therapy, but one ought to consider the value. What are you going to get after that? Exactly. So for me, I don't, yeah, so it was just money that I paid for it, but the value, the lessons that I learned from the interactions that we had, I mean, I could not put an amount to that. I have gotten several dollars back from that, where like getting a raise from a job or getting a job offer, or just being able to save money after buying a car, because I know who I am, and I'm able to communicate what I need to communicate.
Wow. Well, I remember, and one of us is revising history, so I hope it's not me, but the story that I have in my brain is you came on to our third or fourth meeting quite excited about that episode over the weekend, Sunday going car shopping. And you said to me, in the past, I either would have walked out because I couldn't pay the price that car salesman was pitching, or in many places I would be agreeable, even though I wanted to assert myself. And I knew I had done my homework and I knew the true cost. But it was through this process, right, that you found the way to get it, speak up for yourself, to assert yourself, to save that money. But it came through being ready to do the emotional, mental, and physical work of getting the words out that you always had, but otherwise kind of sucked in and kept to yourself. To you, as I recall, that was, as you just said, that was a moment where you immediately were convinced, even if it was only for that one transaction, it paid for itself.
That's right.
But then you also talked about at work. How did work change? I remember certain things that at the time, right, like avoiding a meeting, or why have a face-to-face or a phone call if an email would do. Can you reflect on any of that? And because I think a lot of people think that they might be the only ones on the planet that are like, strategizing and architecting how they duck and dodge unnecessary phone calls, make themselves unavailable, and correspond through text or email more than they need to. And then what evolved after that? Any reflection on that?
Yeah. So my thought about work, I don't call it work per se, but I perceive myself being in business. I am a business person, and what that means is that I'm here to serve other people. So I cannot afford to put myself in the corner and not reach out to other people. The reason why my employer is paying me is I'm adding value. So I add value by helping others. So the things that I have learned over the years, just connecting with others, being able to connect, and it's not necessarily about stuttering or not stuttering, because the thing is, communication is nothing to do with stuttering. That's one hang up that I used to have.
Say that again. That's too good to just brush over
communication
that.
is nothing to do with stuttering. You're communicating, yeah, with someone. You just want them to hear what you are saying. There are so many ways to communicate, and I really used to have a hang up on that, because I used to think that my stuttering defined everything. So I I just put myself in the corner, so the work that I do, I serve the public and stuff. I could be at a meeting, we are doing some work, we have to present the work that we're doing, and I'm in the environmental field. I have to make sure that the work that we do does not harm the environment. So it's a matter of defending my work, describing to people what we plan to do, the benefits, and so forth. So it requires a lot of talking and stuff. It requires a lot of communicating. Same thing too. I have to communicate with the people that I work with. They need stuff from me. They need the things that I'm doing. Same thing. I may need things from them as well. So I'm not one to hesitate to pick up the phone and communicate what I need, or provide what the other person needs.
I think I want to just reflect on two things you said. One is back to what you said about cost and value. And I think that that's so true. Like, people think about, oh, the price tag on whatever it is, whether it's AirPods or whether it's a safer car, or whether it's a trainer so that you can get fit because you don't feel like you're in a healthy place. You think about the cost, but as you said, you got to think about the benefit. So it's always cost benefit, and then putting that together to see that the benefit outweighs the cost, and then it makes sense. And the other one is risk and reward. What is the reward? What is it worth? What's the likelihood I'm going to get it? I think that's another aspect of this, is like in anything that we invest in, the question is, are we going to use it? I'm going to buy that online course. I'm going to buy that book. I'm going to buy that membership to the gym, but am I going to use it? Like, if I use it, it's very valuable. But then there's that risk reward. And I think that's part of the stuttering dilemma also. But I think that's a really good two ways to think about it: cost and benefit, and then risk and reward. And I heard a wonderful thing in a podcast talking about the Warren Buffetts and the Bill Gates and other, really next level people. They think about what's the upside, what's the downside. So what's the best case scenario? What's the best outcome that could happen here? What's the worst outcome that could happen here? And then ask yourself, can I live with the worst? Can I live with that? Can I tolerate that? And I think that the podcast was suggesting the third question is the question that most people don't ask. So the guy comes over, he's like, listen, if you give me your life savings, I can get you like a 10x return. People are like, sign me up. I'll sign up my parents too. I'll take their entire retirement, And then what happens? Disaster strikes. But like, in a way, who was the goofball, right? Who's responsible? So if we ask ourselves, what's the upside? Well, I could get 10x. That's pretty good. What's the downside? You lose everything. Oh, okay. Well, if you can live with that, like if you have $1 million and for you, $100, $1,000, not a big deal, and you can live with the downside, then that's fine. But if you can't live with the downside, then you got to think about that. So that's right. Just on the risk, reward, cost, benefit. And the second thing you said, Lovejoy, which I think is, after 40 conversations, I don't think anyone said it as well as you, that for you, it wasn't just the courage to speak up. It was the recognition of purpose and meaning and responsibility, and kind of like what you owe the other person sometimes. So if it's your employer, for you, you're such a person of ethic and doing the right thing. My religious life was enhanced by working and spending time with you. That's for sure. Wow. Your faith and your values and principles shook me up in a good way. They helped me dust off a lot of junk and really get grounded. I remember that deeply. And the way you talked about now the stuttering journey was very much focused. Some people talk about like the self-talk, and it's driven from within. I'm not gonna hold back my words. I'm gonna tell them how I feel. And that's important for a lot of people in a lot of places. I think you're adding another aspect in addition to that, which is, and we talk about that with teenagers and young adults, what are your rights and what are your responsibilities? So my dad talks about. So parents, want to hear how was your day. They want to hear what your experience was at the party, and they deserve to hear it. It's kind of like a responsibility you have to your parent or to your spouse or to your colleagues. And on the other hand, of course, you have rights. You don't have to do it in a presentation in front of 40 people if you don't feel right about that, and you can do it a different way. So the idea of not only what am I entitled to, but also what do I owe other people? What are my responsibilities? And with more rights come more responsibilities, and with more responsibilities comes more rights and access. I think that's another interesting thing that you contributed there.
Thank you.
What about the lunchbox?
Well, the lunchbox, you know, so
the lunchbox was probably the magic sauce in the work that we did.
It was the magic sauce, I guess. Yeah. So back then, you know, I used to take, I still do take lunch to work when we were going to the office.
Yeah, so, don't forget to eat just because you're on Zoom. You still got to eat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So anyway, in my this container that I took my lunch, there were several compartments and stuff. So there's just a compartment where I put my notes and stuff. So I used to, the other thing, I took the bus. I used to take the bus to work, you know, so the commute was like 30 minutes going and 30 minutes coming back, you know, so that gave me extra time to do things that I needed to do, you know, so I used to take that opportunity to, if it's writing a goal, I would just write my goal there, or if it's reviewing the goal, I would just review the goals there. You know, so I was using the lunchbox because it's something that I always had with me. You know, I'm on the bus, I'm carrying it, I have it with me. You know, so it was just a way to keep myself educated, I guess, you know, looking at my goals and things like that.
I think as again, another angle or another side of this experience was the magic sauce of the lunchbox wasn't about the sauce that you packed in the lunch. You told me that you would put these notes of takeaways. It could be an insight or something inspiring, or you would find something from the Bible that resonated with what we were talking about, and you'd write it, and you told me you would review it. You would kind of like a mantra or like lessons or principles that started. And then in reviewing them on the bus, I think it's less about educating yourself and more about like making that impression, turning it in from like something outside of me and pressing it in. We know that in the brain, voluntary stuff, conscious stuff is on the cortex, it's on the outside of the brain. As things become more automatic, they go deep. So learning to ride a bike or drive a car starts off being very conscientious, volitional, intentional. At some point, you couldn't even remember the sequence of activities you do when you get to a stop sign and turn right. It's automatic. And if it's automatic, it doesn't live on the outside, it's deep. So what you did was you took these ideas that we kind of breathed out of us through the conversation, but you made sure not to let it just kind of blow out. You really pushed it in. And I think it's an important lesson for all of us. If we're doing any kind of meaningful growth, it comes through repetition. It comes through a little bit of pressure, pushing it in. And through that, you can change and create like new normals. You can create new habits. You can create a new response to a situation that you used to respond to a certain way. That's changeable. You know, the stutter might still be there, but you no longer have to have like this flurry of panic. You can have a different response. That response is something that's an open variable. So whether you continue to stutter or you don't continue to stutter, you got to deal with, how do I step up to the plate? How do I deal with those thoughts that pop up? How do I deal with those feelings, the tightness, the tension, the flurry in my stomach? Hey, I've never given a presentation at work. Now I'm ready to, but maybe they're going to think that's weird. It's not even about stuttering, but you got a ball of yarn going on, and all those things take time and repetition. And I'm telling you, if I think back, I think we met a whole of 3 to 5 times, but I remember so much.
It seems like it was longer than that though, because the conversations were so deep. Yeah, but I definitely agree with everything here, because we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is oh man, it's very, yeah, it plays tricks on us. We can't trick it. We cannot trick it. There are things that we do without thinking about it, because they have been ingrained in us. So um, um, the real money, where the real money is trying to put things in your subconscious mind, where you get to a point where you do something without thinking about it. Yeah.
That's really powerful. And I know for me, in my own growth, one of the things that I've gotten from running, my rabbi is the one who told me to run. He told me, first of all, it's an excellent anti-anxiety med and anti-stress. So, the endorphins and the benefits of exercise, nothing to do with being fit. They're good for your mind. They're good for your emotions. They're good for keeping a clear being. So it's just interesting. I didn't start running because a running coach told me to, but a mentor rabbi figure. And number two is, he said, make it a personal growth. For me, it's a spiritual as well, but a personal growth experience, not only a physical fitness experience, insofar your body starts telling you, ooh, I don't think you can breathe. Ooh, I think you've done enough. Ooh, take it easy. Ooh, you're not the 5K guy. That's not you. Who do you think you are? And I think that's that voice you're talking about. And it's a moment to confront that. It's a moment to push against that. It's a moment to say, is that real? It's a moment to say, do I really not have more gas in the tank? I think that's my voice telling me, take care of yourself, be safe, don't hurt yourself. But right now, I want to push, because if I push, I'm going to grow. If I strain my muscle, I'm going to build muscle. If I don't, like I stay on the couch because I'm too nervous to hurt myself, I am not going to get more fit.
That's
The
right.
voice that keeps me safe isn't going to keep me growing. That was resonating with me from what you were saying about the
That's
two
right.
minds.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's about getting outside of the comfort zone, right? It's like, are you going to be a house plant? If you're a house plant, you're not going anywhere. You are just going to be a house plant in the house. But if you put yourself out there, if you're outside, your roots can really go deep. The sun is shining, and you really can grow. There's nothing that is limiting you. It's really about putting yourself out there. Yeah, it's funny, like how fear kind of plays tricks on us. Um, yeah, so the thing about fear is that, you know specifically to stuttering, it's like you fear of something that actually has not happened. So for example, um, if I had a speech, if I had a presentation that I had to do, I'll be dreading about it like days before. I'll just be dreading about it, being fearful, and it's not even there yet. Um, the funny thing is that once you're in the moment, once you're actually doing the presentation, it's not as bad as you perceive it. It's not that bad. So the only thing to fear is just the fear itself. It's just the fear of the idea that I'm going to do something. But once you're in the moment doing it, you realize that, nah, it's not that bad.
How's your
Yes.
book? How's your book coming along? Or
Oh,
you got to have a parish. One of the two. Um,
I guess you are just planting a seed right there. It
there
might,
you
yeah.
go. Well, you got me going. You got me going with the seeds and the roots. So I figured, hey, it's time to plant a seed. This man is ready. This man is ready to grow. To riff off what you just said, so true, so powerful. The fear, and I think going back to your cost point, sometimes we don't factor in the cost of staying the same. So, like, what's the cost of carrying on this way? So, on the one hand, if I go over to that person I'm interested in creating an intimate relationship with, I could humiliate myself. They might reject me. It might not be worth it. I may have to pay to take them out for a drink, and hey, I'm going to lose the money. There's a lot of costs that you start like weaving up. And the one you often don't look at is, well, hold up. I was just complaining to my buddy how lonely I am. I was just complaining about like, how am I ever going to connect with somebody? Like, dude, that's the guaranteed price you pay
That's
if you
right.
stay the same. And then all these others are risks, but on the other side of the risk could be reward, but you got to be careful and calculate and mitigate risk for sure. But the invisible cost sometimes is listening to that voice that keeps you the same.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right. It's all about just putting yourself out there. You know, you can't really let fear hold you or control you.
So guess who woke up in Kentucky
Who's
bright and
that?
early? Carl Coffey.
Oh, that's right.
So first of all, yeah, I just want to I did mean to acknowledge also, I remember as a kid when I was 13 years old going to Nashville and being there, and just hearing the news and watching the videos really shook me up deeply. So my heart goes out to the people who, were affected in any way or felt the blasts impact their lives in any way, shape, or form. So just want to give a shout out there. And of course, thinking of Kentucky, I can't not think of Tennessee. So, okay, with that being said, Carl Coffey had a question for you, but what did you want to say to Carl, or about your crossing paths with Carl? What was that about?
Yeah, so it's one of those things, you know, just being involved, just being, you know, there. It's all about connecting and meeting people, you know. So I am actually the leader of the NSA chapter here. So I met Carl Coffey. He used to reside here in Richmond, Virginia, and he
Hasn't been the
attended us.
same since he left.
Say say that
It
again.
hasn't it hasn't been the same since he left, but he
It
left it in good
hasn't.
hands.
It actually has not been the same. Yeah, so yeah, we used to share a whole lot of stories and stuff, you know, because connecting to people, it's all about sharing our experiences and things like that, you know. So yes, I really miss those times that, you know, Carl used to be here. I know he now resides in Kentucky and stuff, but yeah, we had a good time.
Bowling Green, their gain was your loss.
Oh, there you go. Yes, I guess.
So Lovejoy, he would like to know, was there a particular something that kind of turned you on to the idea of leadership, to the idea of giving back in the way that you do? As you said, you walked right into that one. You're a leader of the National Stuttering Association self-help chapter for people who stutter in Richmond, Virginia, and beyond. What led you to do something so crazy like that? You're a busy guy, you got a wife, you got a family, you took care of yourself, you have a job. Like, why is that meaningful? Why is that important? And what was the spark that kind of brought you there?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty simple, you know. Like I said, I you know everything that I do is a business, you know. But by that I mean I'm here to serve other people, you know. So may it be the work that I get paid to do, or may it be like voluntary work at church, or may it be my interactions with family and friends. You know, I really mean that, you know, if you think about it, you know. So I'm a Christian and stuff, and I believe in the Almighty God. You know, the only reason, you know, why he has us here, you know, is to serve each other. You know, there is no point in me being here and just be selfish and being self-centered and only do what Lovejoy wants to do. I mean, there is no point of that, you know. So me being a member and a leader of the NSA group, I mean, it's rooted in that, you know, just being there to serve to serve other people. You know, maybe there's a kid out there in middle school or high school, you know, who's struggling with stuttering. Maybe there's a parent out there who doesn't know, you know, they are just going through those experiences. Maybe there's someone out there, you know, who's really struggling when it comes to what am I gonna do when I grow up and stuff, you know. So I'm just here to share my experiences and stuff, you know, because that's what it's all about, you know, serving other people and just sharing our experiences.
And if anyone wondered the sincerity and what I was talking about how this man inspires me to be a better man, you got it right there. But it's also why we connect, because I do think we look different, we have different faith, we live in different places, we grew up and were born in different continents, but we share that human passion to be connected with people, to be givers, and also to be great to the people that are closest to us, our families. So I resonate a lot with what you said. I think the biggest risk of COVID, or the biggest gift, is that people can become very isolated and focused on taking care of themselves and not thinking about the people outside their immediate space. So on the other hand, when everyone realizes how vulnerable they are, it might wake us up to realize, well, if I'm feeling that vulnerable, someone else probably feeling a little vulnerable, and maybe together we're both less vulnerable, you know? And I think I would ask you, can you say anything? I think this idea of like a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. So like when you're given time and you're helping that younger person in their journey, or taking time to go lead that meeting or send that email, frankly, I just want to go out here on the record. The reason we reconnected was because Lovejoy reached out and he said, you know, hey, there's a guy, I don't know him, he's from somewhere, and he stutters, and he reached out for help. And I was thinking, maybe, is there anything we could do to help him? So Lovejoy is literally like trying to help people around the world. Now, I don't know who that guy was. It could be he was an angel, and he just was a kick in the pants for us to get back in touch, because he ghosted us after that. But the important thing is that we reconnected. But I was wondering, when that happens, or when you're giving time to a person, do you feel like you're losing, you're only giving, or is there also a side that you get back? In other words, there's something that reverberates back. If you could share about the other side of giving, what do you get?
So that's a very good question right there. So I believe that, you know, everybody has something to teach you. You know, you can learn a lot from interacting with other people. You know, hey, because we all have experiences and stuff. You know, so me taking the time to reach out to another person, you know, there are many things that can happen there. You know, one, I can learn from that person. You know, they have experience that I may not have. You know, so that small conversation that we may have, you know, you don't know where it's gonna lead to. And then the other thing too, that other person that I'm helping, you know, they might just be stuck in that little phase, or they you know, but you don't know what contributions they may make in the future. You know, we are all connected somehow. And, you know, it could be, maybe I will not meet that person today, or maybe I may not meet them in the next 10 years, who knows? But maybe my kids or my grandkids or whatnot, you know, they may somehow, you know, end up connecting again, you know. So I strongly believe, you know, we are here to serve each other. You know, I strongly believe in that.
I'm going to read you an email, and anybody that's watching this is a huge treat. What you just said, it's not your email, so don't worry, but it happened today. It's December 31st. I have a lot of things that were very challenging this year. I have an immediate family member that just got off the vent and just got home. I was rocked by COVID. I was rocked by changes in lifestyle. I wouldn't want anyone to think that I've been coasting my way, or, you know, waltzing my way through this year. I pushed hard, and with faith and with grit and with struggle and with friends, I've gotten through. So anything I've done is really partially because of this community, people listening, partially because of people like you in my mind, Lovejoy. So I just want to say that. But what you just said, you know, we're all looking for highlights. I encourage everybody to think of what was one thing. You know, there was a part of 2000, there was part of 2020 that actually there was no COVID. Like there was a January, February that was untouched.
That's
Like
right.
we've got to catch. And then there were these things, there were these riots, if anyone remembers, in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So much happened this year.
Yeah,
There were a lot of challenging chapters. It was a roller coaster, but it also means we can't lose track of little things to be grateful for, little things to celebrate, little accomplishments that we had, whether it was hanging in with the kids being at home, or whether it was reaching out to family members or doing something for a neighbor, or little things we did for ourselves. Like we lost going to the gym, we lost this, we lost that, but we took care of ourselves.
Right.
We stayed alive, you know, so we got to appreciate. So this, for me, just added to today, just an incredible layer. What you just said, we don't know how we're all connected. And what I opened up with about transcending stuttering, it's bigger than stuttering. And for people who stutter, who don't know what I mean by that, like, because you're thinking, I don't stutter, I'm a speech therapist. What's it my business to talk about growing through? And I mean it at the deepest level that people who stutter have so much to teach the world, not just about communication, not just about the power of words, not just about learning to slow down and tune in to another human being and stop the frantic pace of the world around us. Besides all those things that people who stutter teach the world, I am personally inspired by people like Lovejoy and people like Carl.
Wow.
And people like that. So this story takes it to another level, okay? Because like I said, it's bigger than stuttering. Many generations ago, there was a man who influenced my family's life in a very significant way. A couple months ago, or actually it was a couple years ago, but I just got the email today. A young woman came to me to work on something unrelated to stuttering. It had to do with like reading and writing. And it turned out she was the great granddaughter of this man who influenced our family. Now, you would think, what a beautiful circle of life. I just felt like, oh gosh, I hope I do well. I hope I do good by her. I hope I provide service. I hope I provide value. And as with stuttering, I couldn't take away the core challenge that she had, but I did help her get a heck of a lot better. She got her master's level diploma. She got her license. It took 3 times to take the test, but she nailed it with perseverance and working smart. And she sent me an email today. And it says like this: I want to thank you for the opportunity to take the stuttering course. She doesn't stutter. On Thanksgiving, when I opened it up for everybody to take it for free, even though I don't stutter, I thought it would be interesting, so I went ahead with it. I enjoyed the fact that some of the concepts that were in the course, we used in our work together. It helped me gain more insight into myself. I really enjoyed it. She doesn't even stutter. Now I'm working at such and such job. I never thought I'd be in a job like this and making it. And I'm doing meaningful work, and I enjoy my work, and I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy the environment. I always think about our work together and how it helped me be comfortable with my limitations. I do not have to be the perfect speller or reader, and that's okay. I have other strengths to offer.
Awesome.
I was crying the entire way to work. I mean, like, that's what this whole podcast is about. That's what this whole journey is about. And that's what it means, transcending stuttering, in my opinion, at 30,000 feet, is that we can all grow. And I don't wish adversity upon anybody. But if we know that the world is filled with different challenges that all of us face, and all of us have got something, if we can find community, if we can find people that are understanding and that get it and respect us and see the bigger dreams inside of us that are waiting to come out, and the ability inside of us that we don't even see in ourselves, if we can tap into those people, it could be in a self-help community, in an online community, it could be with a coach, a therapist, whatever. We can all grow, because it's part of being human, is like this bigger thing inside of us than what everyone sees on the outside. And it's very hard to grow on our own. We got the world of things coming at us. So for me, that's what Transcending Stuttering is about. Lovejoy, that's what you mean to me as a role model, as an inspiration. I'll let you take us home for 2020. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share in terms of your thoughts on the past, thoughts on the future, hopes?
Oh, I just want to Thank you, Uri, for giving me the opportunity to be here. And also, I just want to thank you and your team for the great work that you do. I just particularly love, the time that we are in, the time of technology and stuff. So location or geography doesn't limit us anymore. So the work that you're doing is reaching out. It is far reaching out. A kid from Canada, a kid from Zimbabwe, wherever they are, they're able to find that information. So that's great. So looking ahead for me, it's all about being connected, connecting with others and just being there, serving others. I am here to serve.
So I just want to thank everybody, and thank you, Lovejoy. We can't do it alone, and we don't need to talk to an echo chamber. People who stutter know that if you're alone in your room talking to the wall, usually you don't stutter. Usually. And that's because it's not communication. And usually stuttering only comes up when you're having real sharing, real spontaneous communication. That's where stuttering tends to show up. It often doesn't show up as much when you're singing, when you're saying something with a foreign accent, when you are acting, or when you are not talking to a human being. You're talking to animals, or you're talking to yourself. And people get frustrated, like, why is that? Why am I stuttering there, but not? It's because stuttering, like Lovejoy said, the paradox, and we'll finish on this. The paradox is stuttering doesn't equal communication, and communication doesn't equal stuttering, but communication is where stuttering happens. It's when you want to connect with someone with truth, with openness, with real transmission of giving and receiving another human being. That is where stuttering can show up. But if it does happen, as Lovejoy said, successful communication, great communication is not built upon perfect fluency. There are a lot of fluent people out there, look in your life, who are not great communicators. And then you can look at people like Lovejoy and so many of the 40 people I spoke to this year. And you could think of Braden Harrington, and you could think of Sam in England, who I just sent a happy birthday message to. And you could think of the President of the United States. You could think of a lot of people who are successful and they stutter. And in some ways, it might be not only that even though they stutter, it could be that stuttering gave them a certain superpower. It gave them a certain maturity and strength and fortitude and conviction. So I leave us off this year for episode 40 of season 1. It couldn't be sweeter to share it with someone other than you, because you're the guy who believed in technology and meeting me on, I think it was Skype back then, 7 years ago. So Lovejoy, you actually got this whole thing started. Anything I've done online, it all is something you've had a hand in. And I mean that. And I know we're going to stay online and talk some more, but I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please share, please comment. If there was something inspiring, drop it in the comments and we'll repost it and share it, because Lovejoy just shared so much. I think I shared a few interesting things, but I really thank Lovejoy for the time. Check it out on the podcast, Transcending Stuttering. It's now on podcasts everywhere. It'll take just a few days to get everything up, but you can digest and take that in podcast form while you're on your Peloton or biking or taking care of mundane topics and tasks. And if you want to check out the cohorts, or if you want to sign up for the free emails, if you're a person who stutters or a speech language pathologist, schneiderspeech.com/TSA. We'd love to hear from you. We wish everybody a healthy, strong, promising year ahead, and look back on this past year and think what you can take away from all the challenging times. We definitely revealed a lot of strengths, and I bless you all to take those strengths with you into the future.
Thank you.